I finally finished my Kingdom era ukulele. That's my old 1890s Hawaiian style instrument made with just hand tools. So yeah, I've put off making this video because I've been super busy, but also because it's hard to kind of say the project's done, but it's not really done at all because I've got so much more to do on this topic and I've learned so much. I just can't wait to keep going with it. So, as a review, I got a grant from Mortise and Tenon magazine to study the three original builders of ukuleles in Hawaii. These three guys came from Madeira. They were Portuguese immigrants. They were trained cabinet makers, and they also built musical instruments. And then what they did eventually became the Hawaiian ukulele. So this instrument, as its design, its features, its materials, are based off of instruments I saw at the Bishop Museum and instruments I saw at a private collector's studio from this era. And then the tools and techniques I used come from research about 1890s woodworking, what Hawaiian wood shops were like at that time, and also looking at the tool marks and evidence on the old instruments left by the original builders. So I tried to make an instrument as close as I could to what that was like. So to begin with, most of the instrument is Hawaiian koa. Koa is an important wood for the Hawaiian Islands, and it has, like interesting kind of patriotic and spiritual and mythological meanings as well, which is pretty interesting to look into. But the top is Douglas fir, and that is accurate for the time period. Those folks who came from Portugal, they had built instruments in Madeira that had a softwood top and hardwood back and sides, like European guitars, violins, and mandolins are all made. And so when they came to Hawaii, they had access to Douglas fir because it was imported in massive boatloads to build the structures in Honolulu and other places like that. Hawaii doesn't have like a softwood lumber type wood, and the Pacific Northwest exported tons of fir to the islands at that time. So a lot of the instruments I saw, the original ones, have fir tops and koa back and sides. So that's what I did. So yeah, back and sides are koa, of course. The neck is koa. The pegs are koa. Fretboard and headplate are koa. Bridge is koa. And then the fir top. And then I made my own rope binding, and I used kind of scraps from the shop. Some of the instruments we saw also were like that, kind of made with shop scrap rope binding. It does have a fretboard on it. That was standard at the beginning, and then the fretboard kind of goes away in the 1910s and then doesn't come back till later in Hawaiian instruments. I used bridge pins and a little fret wire bridge. Yeah, and some of the challenges for me is that the originals have these wooden pegs, kind of like a violin would have, and so I had to figure out how to make those and then get used to using them. It's got gut strings. The originals would have had gut strings on them as well. And the frets are just brass bar stock. They're bar frets, it's called, instead of kind of modern rounded over fret wire. And then, yeah, little handmade bridge pins as well. So it's also made kind of in with what's called a Hawaiian heel, a Spanish heel, excuse me, which is kind of a European method of adding the sides into the neck block. So instead of like a dovetail joint that goes in like a Martin guitar, it's more like the Spanish and Portuguese builders, where the neck block is built into the neck and the sides go into that, and then that's covered up with the back. So that was an entirely new way to do things. I'd never done it before. And you can go back and look at some of the other videos about how we actually made it. So, the sound, what do I think? I mean, I think it sounds pretty close to the ones I've played that are of this age. But I think my modern maker tries to add warmth and sustain and depth to the sound. And the original ones don't have as much of that. And so it really has a high chirp to it, a high pitch, a high frequency that I think is missing in my instrument. I think mine is not as high pitched and loud as the originals. It maybe has a little more sustained depth, but I'm not sure it's better for that reason. So I think on the next one I'll probably try to go for more of that high sound. But I like it. It was a good first try for this. And yeah, entirely hand tools. Entirely hand tools that would have been available to these folks in a cabinet making shop in 1890s in Hawaii. The only thing I used with electricity is I did turn the pegs on a lathe. And from my research, a lot of the big cabinet shops they worked in had a lathe. I also made a set of pegs where I just carved them by hand, and they worked too, but I did it, kind of both ways. So a little bit of compromise with that, but I feel like in the future I could do it either way as we go. It's finished with shellac and then oil and wax on top of the shellac. And yeah, the gut strings thing and whatever, it's just a really interesting vibe. So now, secret, most people don't know this, I started a second one right after that's all koa instead of with the fur top. And it's mainly built the same. For this one, I'm going to use regular frets, modern strings, and modern tuners. In order to get like a more, for a modern player to feel more at home with it instead of the gut strings and the friction tuners. So that's coming up next. What's next with the project? Well, I got to finish this one too, but I have to write the article for Morrison Tenant Magazine. And the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to build a rajau. So the two original instruments that came from Madeira were the machete and the rajau. This is basically like a Hawaiian version of the machete. The rajau is larger and has 5 strings. So I'm going to build one of those next so I can have one of each. And then I'll probably switch the tuning on this in the strings up to the high pitch of the original rajau tuning. So, that's a lot to do. And I think I'm going to continue going forward with some of these designs and ideas. I think it's really fun. And it speaks to the dignity of hand tools and the gravitas of the craft of these original builders. They're just really great builders, and they did really beautiful, functional things, and I want to learn more from them. So, thanks a lot. I appreciate you guys tuning in as I work on this project, and there's more to come with it, so I hope you will continue to check out what I'm doing with it. I certainly learned a lot, and it was a really beautiful experience, so cheers. But that ain't enough, no, you want me around. It used to feel like California with baby those eyes so blue. But now it feels like Carolina, splitting myself in two. It used to feel like California with baby those eyes so blue. But now it feels like Carolina, splitting myself in two.